Good morning. I hope this lesson finds you well as you are watching, and I hope everyone is present. And I'm expecting that everyone should listen about this discussion para naman ay meron kayong matutunan, okay? So, before we discuss this new lesson, I'd like you to have a glimpse back, which means we are going to have a review of our previous lesson, the last lesson of our third quarter, which is the legislative branch. Okay, here's the direction and try to listen and watch this carefully. Analyze the following paragraph and correct the information on the legislative branch of the government. So this means that as I present to you the next slide, you're going to uh, follow reading this slide as I also read to you. Okay? And then later we will have a short discussion about it. Alright, here is the paragraph of our review. Okay, I'll try to read to you and please follow in your eyes. Okay? So, the legislative branch is divided into two clans, bottom clan and the higher clan. There are 47 senators in the higher clan and 300 representatives or congressmen in the bottom clan. This branch of the government is responsible mainly for crafting of laws. A law which is in the process of being approved is called BIC. A BIC then becomes a law after it is approved by both clans and by the office of the ombudsman. Okay, as you can see here in our slides, there are highlighted words which is which are here in our first two lines or two sentences, and the other one is found, the other words are found on the bottom part. Okay, so what can you observe about these highlighted words? Okay, that means that these are the information that we should replace to with a correct information. Okay, so for that, for example, the first one here is two clans. Is it right? Two clans, we call that two clans in the legislative branch? No, we call that as houses or chambers. Okay, so it is not bottom clan, but we call that as lower house or lower chamber. While the other one, the higher clan, we should replace that as the higher, the upper house or the upper chamber. Okay. Now the next one, how many representatives in how many senators for the upper house or upper chamber? Yes, there are only 24 senators, not 47. Okay, I hope this will be reminded for you, or this is a reminder for you. And the other one for the representatives, there are how many representatives? Is it 300? No, it is 250. Maximum of 250. Okay, it's not 300 for the lower house or the lower chamber. So they are all responsible for the crafting of laws or making of laws, amendment of laws, and others. But it's always through, it's all about making laws, proposing laws, making laws, amending of laws, or other term for amendment is ratification of laws. Okay, a law which is in the process of being approved is called what? Is it big? No, it is bill. Okay, so a bill then becomes a law after it is approved by both. Is it clans again? They are houses or chambers. And by the other one who can approve this bill is by the office of what? Is it the ombudsman? No, it is the office of the president. Okay, I hope you have the right information, and you have recalled, or you have you have stored this information in your mind. Okay, since this is just a recall of our previous lesson. Okay, let's now move to our new lesson for this quarter. But before that, let's have this picture. Let's analyze this picture. What can you see, or what can you say about this picture? I hope this picture is clear enough for you to see, but I guess it is not, right? So anyway, I'll be describing this, no? This picture is a representation of the three branches of the government. So this is an organizational, I mean the graphical representation of the three branches of the government. Here is the executive, here is the judiciary, and this is the legislative. Okay, and this is composed of our Philippine government. So if you are to describe this picture based on the structure of this picture, or based on how you can analyze, it means this is about their relationship. Okay, what is the relationship of the three branches of the Philippine government as shown in the graphic organizer? What can you say about that? Ano yung napapansin nyo kung i-describe natin itong relationship ng tatlo batay dito sa organizer? Okay, they are from that uh, drawing, or graphic organization, or organizer, I mean, and illustration. It represents the this one, the interconnection of each other, but they are interdependent. Okay, see, each of them has their own jurisdiction. This one has its own jurisdiction. This one has its own jurisdiction and exercise of power. All of them are interdependent and interrelated. Okay? And this now represents what we call the check and balances. Okay, as I have mentioned before, the check and balance. So what do we mean by check and balance again? Each of these branch of the government can check the other two branches in order to balance the power. Okay? So that's why it's balance. Balance, it means there is no over or encroaching of powers from other branches. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka pwedeng makialam sa ibang branch hanggat ito ay hindi mo sakop. Okay? So that is an example. Okay. So much for that. Let's proceed. Okay, what about these pictures? What can you say about this picture? Do you know who is in this picture? Of course, you know, right? So ito yung the former president of the Philippines, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Okay, the next one. Next picture. Do you know of this? Do you know this personality, or person? I mean, yeah, she is the former Chief Justice during the administration of President Aquino. Okay, Ninoy Benigno Aquino the third. Okay, siya yung justice, no, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Si Maria Sereno. Next, what about this one? I guess alam nyo na, no? He is one of the controversial personality of the Department of Justice. Si Laila de Lima, the former DOJ Secretary. So you see, as I have mentioned a while back, these are those three personalities are the former personalities known for certain issues. And what are the issues or cases attributed to them? Mostly are, it's true, or I mean, what are the cases or issues na nakilala sila? Let's start with Arroyo. Ang issue niya is, okay, graft and corruption. Okay. What about the other one? Justice Sereno. Okay, again, siya ay isang personality also of the DOJ, yung Chief Justice. Nakasuhan siya through impeachment. Okay. Next one, the other one, De Lima. Again, he was also impeached by the Congress. Okay. So those are examples of personalities that is related to our topic. And our topic is our before we begin, before we introduce to you our topic, let's have first this activity 1. This is actually activity 3 since we have already presented the 2 activities. So read between the lines. What I mean is you're going to analyze each of these quote, okay, or sayings, and try to give your idea about this. Let's start with this one. A law is valuable not because it is a law, but because there is right in it. That's according to Henry Ward Beecher. Ano sa tingin nyo ang ibig sabihin niyan? A law is valuable not because it is a law, but because there is right in it. If you're going to interpret that, a law is not just important, it's not just good for us, but because not also because it is just it is because of law, not because of law, but because the reason why there is a law, it's because there is right in it. Okay, remember, every law requires or impose or manifest what we call right and just, diba? Lahat ng law, lahat ng batas, kaya ginawang batas dahil merong itong kabutihang idudulot. Kaya tinawag niya that there is right in it. Hindi lang siya basta law. Hindi lang dahil pinahalagahan natin kaya naging batas. It is because the main important purpose here is because every law we find it right. Okay? May tawag dito, may tama, ibig sabihin may kahusayan, or I don't know what do we mean, what we term in Filipino, right meaning it is just or it is acceptable. Okay, so that is the interpretation of this quote of Henry Ward. Okay, Henry Ward Beecher. Now let's have the second one. I think this is about 3 quote. Okay. No man is above the law and no man is below it, nor do we ask any man's permission when we ask him to obey it. Okay. Usually we say we hear this word, no? This quote, no, na no man is above the law and no man is below it. Usually naririnig natin no man is above the law. Ibig sabihin nun, that means that every law that is being passed or implemented, no one should be excluded. Okay? Everyone should follow. Everyone should be under it. Okay? Or submit to this law. Okay? If you violate the law, you should bear the consequence. Ibig sabihin nun, kapag may nilabag ka, kung ano yung karampatang parusa, pagdusahan mo. So, yan yung ibig sabihin, no man is above the law. You can never be above the law. Because if that is the case, then the law is useless. Huwag na tayong magkaroon ng law kung meron palang exempted. But is it true in our Philippine society today? Partially, yes. Perhaps no. Well, that depends on how we interpret. But if we are very aware of our environment today, I guess you know it. I guess you know what I mean when we talk of this quote, that the law is applicable to all. Okay, so in reality, the poor is gets, I mean, the poor gets the injustice. The rich are sometimes above the law, perhaps, no? And that is why, and the reason why this happens is because our system of government, perhaps there is no uh, what we call ironclad or teeth in implementing it. Kaya ganun, no? Hindi malakas yung implementation because of this bureaucracy problem, or the what we call the palakasan system. Okay, that is according to this saying is, I don't think I have it. Theodore Roosevelt, the president, or the former president of the United States. Okay, next. Ignorance of the law excuses no man from practicing it. This is according to Addison Misner. Okay, ano ang ibig sabihin ng ignorance of the law excuses no one? From the statement alone, kung ating i-translate in our language, ang kawalang malay natin sa batas ay hindi ibig sabihin na tayo ay excuse na sa batas na yun kapag tayo ay lumabag. That's what it meant by this quotation. Ignorance of the law excuses no one. So, remember, the law goes or undergone different stages, long stages, and there is also a publicity for this law. Before the law is being implemented, the government usually publish the law for everyone to know or be informed about the context or content of this law. Okay, that's why ignorance of the law excuses no one from practicing it. So that means kapag di mo alam yung batas, hindi ibig sabihin na kapag hindi mo alam at nilabag mo ang batas, ay excuse ka na. Hindi ka na mapaparusahan sa consequence na makukuha mo based on the punishment incurred in this law. Okay? So, ibig sabihin nun, everyone should follow the law. And if you don't know that there is a law, that is not an excuse. You should always be aware of it. Okay? Kasi if we apply this, if there is what we call if there is someone who are not aware of the law, and they will say they are excused because they are not aware of that, then everyone can use this as their excuse just to bend the law or just to evade the consequence of the law. Diba? So that is why ignorance of the law excuses no one. Just like in your classroom, diba? Gumawa ang kayo pinag-usapan through your advisor, I mean, na bawal ang mag-cellphone. Okay? One of the actually this is one of the legal one of the order and one of the regulations implemented in school. Okay? And it is also there is also a law about this. Okay? Under the DepEd memorandum, you just did not, perhaps you were not just aware of it. Now, you have this law, no? Meron kayong batas na ganito, or actually it's not a law when we say in the classroom, it's just your rules, no? Implemented in your classroom. that no one should use their cell phone unless it is not related to your lesson. So once you are caught using your classroom, usually the punishment is the confiscation of your gadgets, right? And of course there are other punishment incurred or punishment given to you aside from confiscation. Okay, so now you say I was not present. For example, isa sa inyo nagsabi I was not present during the implementation or during the crafting of our rules, so I should be excused. Is it right? No, because everyone should follow the law, the rule, right? So because if that is your logic or your explanation, then everyone can also use this just to be excused from this rule. And so therefore this rule is now void. I mean, it is already useless if everyone are using this argument. Okay? So that's why ignorance of the law excuses no man. Okay? Everyone should be uh, under this law. Okay? So that is all about this second quote. Okay, let's have the guide questions for our discussion as part of our objectives, no, in discussing our lesson. What is judicial power? What are the activities of the Supreme Court? You're going to uh, learn about this, no? Discuss the scope of judicial power. What are the qualifications of the Supreme Court justice? What is the tenure of office of the members of the Supreme Court? What are the power of the Supreme Court? These are the questions related to our discussions, and I hope all of these 6 questions will be answered by you once we finish this topic. I hope you will be able to state or give an answer to each of these questions. Okay, let's move to our actually 7 questions pala na. How is the process of rendering court decisions? What are the special courts and its functions? Okay, let's move now to our main topic. Our topic for this first quarter, or I mean fourth quarter, is the judicial department or the judicial branch of our government. Since we have finished the 2 branches, the executive and the legislative, we now have here the last branch of the government, which is the judicial branch of the Philippines. Now let's have this. Okay. So in section 1 of our constitution, again, all of these are stated or can be read in our constitution. Okay. Judicial power will be vested in the Supreme Court and all lower courts. Okay, that means the power of the judicial system is or from our Supreme Court comes from our Supreme Court and all our lower courts. Okay, later you will be able to I will be discussing this so that you'll be able to understand this Supreme Court and lower courts, or what does it mean by this. Okay, so when we talk of Supreme Court, this is the highest court in the land. I guess I've mentioned once or twice in our subjects, in other subjects of the social science. The final arbiter of controversies and disputes brought by the parties of the courts of law. Okay, so remember, this is the highest court of our government, the Philippine government, yung Supreme Court. Sino yung pinakamataas? Okay? Now, we have the other one, the judicial power. Okay, the term judicial power meaning it is the power of the judicial system or the judicial branch of the government to apply the laws to contests or disputes concerning legally recognized rights and duties between the state and private persons, or to individuals litigants in cases properly brought before judicial tribunals. So therefore, when we talk of judicial power, ito yung kapangyarihan na iniatang sa ating korte, okay, sa ating justice system para i-apply yung interpretation ng batas. Okay? So that they will be interpreting whether the law is legal or any other contests or any other disputes, kung ano mga problema o yung questions tungkol sa legal matters, okay, or mga problema sa pagdating sa legalities of for example, rights, duties ng state, ng private person or individuals, maging sa mga kaso, no, na na inaatang sa kanila na through judicial tribunal. Okay, or tribunal. So, there are two main activities of our judicial or our Supreme Court, or the judicial court or judicial branch. There are two activities of our judicial system or judicial branch of the Philippines. Number one, we have setting legal controversies. Ito yung pangunahing function o ginagawa ng ating hudikatura, okay, or justice system or judicial branch. Setting legal controversies. Okay, meaning para ayusin ang mga controversial pagdating sa legal na mga problema o matters. Okay, setting legal. Okay, so para ayusin. Second, determining whether there has been grave abuse on the discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction of any branch of the government. So, yan yung pangalawa, no? Yung una, ito ay para ayusin ang lahat ng mga problemang legal, maging sa private person and sa private companies and others. Okay, yun yung pinakapangunahing ginagawa ng mga ating justice system. Pangalawa, determining whether there has been grave abuse in the discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction of any branch of government. So as I have mentioned before, this is now part of what we call check and balance. Okay, check and balances. So the court can determine if the judicial branch of the government ay siya yung nagde-determine kung ang executive branch at ang legislative branch ay merong pang-aabuso sa kanilang power or sa kanilang mga discretion o yung kanilang ginagawa batay sa kanilang naiatas na tungkulin nila. Kapag sila ay pag inabuso nila yung kanilang tungkulin, okay, lalo na in the exercise of power sa kanilang jurisdiction, ay merong karapatan na ang ating judicial system through our Supreme Court ay pwedeng kasuhan o patalsikin o magbigay ng recommendation para magkaroon ng penalty kung sino yung involved sa two branches of the government na yan. Kung ito ay merong lack, may pagkukulang sa kanilang mga mandato o kanilang mga tungkulin, o merong excess naman o merong sobra naman yung pag-exercise nila ng kanilang mga tungkulin. So our judicial branch through our Supreme Court can decide that. Okay, siya yung magbibigay ng hatol, siya yung magbibigay ng interpretation kung sila ay nagkamali. Those are the two main activities of our judicial branch. Okay, let's move to the next one. Scope. Tingnan naman natin ano yung lawak ng kapangyarihan ng judicial branch or yung tinatawag nating judicial power. What are the scope of the judicial power? We have, number one, there is what we call adjudicating power. When we talk of this power, ito yung kapangyarihan nila na masettle ang legal disputes ng kung sino mang gustong maghain ng kanilang mga controversial or legal disputes. Kahit sino yun. It's either individual, company, or entity. Okay, private or public. So, yun. One is the judicial scope, the scope of judicial power ng ating Supreme Court is meron silang adjudicating power or the power to settle, yung kapangyarihan nila na ayusin ang mga disputes o yung mga hindi pagkakaunawaan pagdating sa legalidad ng anumang bagay. Now, next, we have also the power of judicial review. Again, our Supreme Court ay meron silang kapangyarihan sa tinatawag na judicial review. Okay. What do we mean by this? It means that the power of the Supreme Court to interpret and make judgment with respect to the law. Okay, yan yung tinatawag na power of judicial review. Remember, ang ating Supreme Court, nakadumidepende lang yan sa lahat ng mga batas na nagawa. At ang batas na ito ay nakasalig dapat sa ating Constitution. Hindi siya lumalayo sa ating Philippine Constitution, yung 1987 Constitution. So they are aware of that. They know all of the content of the 1987 Constitution. Every law, lahat ng mga batas na ginawa ng ating legislative branch ay naka-base dapat doon sa ating saligang batas or our constitution. Okay? And this constitution, our national 1987 constitution is our highest law of our country. Diyan sila nagbe-base ang ating Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court therefore, through its power to review, that means pag halimbawa merong mga contest, merong mga inihain sa kanila ay sinampang kaso, for example, no, decided na ito ng korte or other ng lower courts, or hindi sila sure or merong questions ang individual na hindi tama yung kanyang hatol, for example, or merong mga question ng ibang entity at inakyat nila sa korte na sila ay naabuso, for example, nagkaroon sila ng parang nilabag nila ang kanilang karapatan. This is now what we call the power of judicial review. I-review ngayon ng korte, yung Supreme Court, yung pinakamataas na korte natin sa Pilipinas. Siya ngayon ang magre-review dun sa kaso na yon. They will interpret that, and if they found out that the complainant has the right, so therefore siya yung magbibigay ng recommendation or judgment na tama siya. Okay, so dapat ito yung gagawin. So tama, nilabag nga yung kanyang karapatan, for example. That's what we call power of judicial review. So ibig sabihin, usually nangyayari ang judicial review kapag halimbawa hindi satisfied ang isang tao o ang mga grupo ng tao sa mga hatol na ibinigay sa kanila sa mga bababang korte. Okay, yung sa lower court katulad sa regional court or sa any other court aside from Supreme Court. So kapag may decision na at hindi sila hindi sila satisfied sa decision, inaakyat nila sa Supreme Court. And that is now, dito nalalabas yung tinatawag nating judicial review. Okay? Again, hindi lang dun sa mga kasong ganun. For example, sa mga ipinasa o findings ng legislative government or your legislative branch, for example, no, nagkaroon ng patawag, for example, nakikita natin, we usually see this show in our news, no, for example, nagpapatawag ng legislation, in aid of legislation sa legislative branch of the government para matukoy yung problema. So once decided, sometimes they need to have an interpretation of our Supreme Court, whether or not their decision is legally decided. Okay, kung tama ba yung kanilang na-decide. Sometimes yun yung ginagawa, no? That's why we have this what we call the power of judicial review. Only the Supreme Court has this power. Sila lamang may kapangyarihan na mag-review ng kaso And after they have reviewed the certain cases, sila na magbibigay ng judgment. And all of their judgment ay final and irrevocable. Ibig sabihin, hindi na pwedeng baguhin at sometimes magsisilbi yan na basehan ng lahat ng mga kaso na merong ganoong kaparehas na kaso. So, yun na yung ginagamit nila lagi. Just to decide the case. So, that's what we call power of judicial review. Now, let's move to the next one. Incidental powers. There are powers of the Supreme Court or our justice system na tinatawag na incidental. What do we mean when we say incidental? Incidental in the sense na nagkataon lang na part ng power nila kaya nakasama siya dun sa power na yon. Okay? Powers necessary for the discharge of the judicial function. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng incidental power. Okay, for example, yung power niya nagkataon lang na nung yung power ng Supreme Court na ito, for example, hindi sila yung in charge sa pag-a-appoint. Ang Supreme Court lamang ang may karapatan na mag-appoint ng mga justices. Okay? Mga justices or mga judge sa mga iba't ibang korte sa Pilipinas. So, bakit tinawag na incidental? For example, nagkataon lang kasi na yun yung isa sa mga function nila, yung mag-appoint. So, wala namang ibang choice dahil kailangan nila yon. Kailangan nilang i-carry yung power na yon. Okay? Since yon naman ay talagang part of their function. Parang ganon. That's incidental powers. So, you can read more about this incidental power. Parang ganito. Other examples of incidental power is let's take for a simple illustration. Incidental powers. For example, you are a minor, for example, 17 years old. Okay? So, 17 years old, nagkaroon ka ng kaso, nagkaroon ka ng serious case na which is considered as criminal case. Halimbawa, no, nakapatay ka ng aksidente, napatay mo yung tao. So, ikaw dapat ay ikukulong. However, hindi ka makukulong sa regular na prison because nagkataon lamang na ikaw ay nagkataon lang kasi na ikaw ay minor pa. So, dahil sa age mo na yon, naging incident. Parang ganun, parang incidental. Dapat sana ikaw ay dadalhin sa regular prison since minor ka and nakasaad sa batas na bawal pa, so hindi ka pa pwede. So, pwede natin sabihin na yun ang example ng incidental. So, parang ganito, ang incidental power ay hindi sinasadya na kapangyarihan. Yun yung sasabing incidental powers. So, yun yung sasabing incidental powers of our Supreme Court. Alright, before I start with this next slide, another example or a concrete example of what I have just mentioned a while back, yung incidental powers of the Supreme Court and other courts is that as I have mentioned, na ito yung tinatawag na incidental kasi it's not supposed to be of their power, but it just happened na they need to have that power. Okay? Example, sa korte, for example, in a court, during the proceeding, yung halimbawa, habang sila ay nasa korte, sa loob ng korte mismo, sa pagdinig ng kaso, everyone should have respect. Okay? Everyone should respect everyone should obey an order of the judge if you are inside the court. Okay? Yun yung tinatawag nating incidental power. The judge has the power to silence someone kapag maingay. which is supposed to be ang dapat na mag-maintain ng peace and order inside the court is there should be a marshal or a police, right? Pero it's part of the proceeding and it is also part of the power of the judge. Okay, so minsan sinasabihan niya yung tao na kailangan o mga tao na please maintain order. So it's not supposed to be part of their power, but it's just happened that it is part of the proceeding. Okay, for example, yung pagbibigay ng sabina, okay? So it's not supposed to be part of their power, pero isa 'yun sa paraan para magkaroon ng legal basis ang mga korte para mapatawag agad yung tao. That's an example of incidental power. Okay, so next, there are three courts of the country, three kinds of courts in the country. So tatlo yung classification ng korte sa ating bansa. Number one, we have Supreme Court. So, as I have mentioned a while back, ang Supreme Court ay yung pinakamataas na korte sa ating bansa, the highest court in the land. Then the other one is the regular court. Bakit siya tinawag na regular court? Kasi nga, sila yung korte na dumidinig ng mga kaso, especially yung crime or civil cases or criminal cases. Katulad ng appellate court, okay, yung Court of Appeals, Regional Trial Court or yung tinatawag na RTC. Yan yung tinatawag na regular court. And then, kasama pa dito sa regular court ay yung tinatawag nating mga tawag dito, yung circuit trial court, no? Halimbawa, yung mga maliliit na korte, lower courts ang tawag nila dun eh. Sometimes they call this regular court as lower court. And then the third, we have the quasi-judicial bodies. Okay, ito naman ay tinatawag nilang special court. Okay, kasi ang dinidinig lang na mga kaso, it's somewhat ito yung mga immediate na madali na lang sila na mismo ang nagde-decide. Whereas dito sa regular court, medyo mahaba ang proseso, no? Kasi marami pang hearing na didinggin. But in quasi-judicial bodies, sila yung mga expert na lahat sila ay may mga magagaling na experience at the same time, hindi lang it's the presentation of the case through oral but instead minsan through written nakalagay, then sometimes dinidecide na nila agad. The purpose of quasi-judicial bodies para maibsan naman yung dami ng kaso na pumapasok sa mga regular na korte. So minsan meron silang mga tinalaga katulad ng National Labor Relation kasi lahat ng mga kaso naman dito ay tungkol sa mga labor cases. Halimbawa, yung tungkol sa mga hindi pa sweldo, lahat ng mga yan ay sila lamang ang humahawak. And then sa SEC, for example, lahat ng kaso tungkol sa mga companies, kung registered ba ang company, yun yung mga example. So, quasi-judicial bodies ang tawag doon. So, remember, three kinds of court, Supreme Court, regular court, and quasi-judicial bodies. Ang quasi-judicial bodies are specialized court na but iba yung kanilang specialization na mabilisan yan, hindi yung matagal mag-decide, hindi katulad ng regular court. Okay, so specialty, meron sila kanya-kanyang specialty at napakadaming klase ng quasi-judicial bodies. Okay, let's move to so tandaan nyo, no, bawat korte na to meron silang sariling jurisdiction. Okay. Supreme Court, ito na yung example. Matatagpuan ito if you have been to Manila in Faura. Doon mismo. Malapit siya sa Robinsons, Manila. So, this is the structure. Okay, ito yung structure ng ating judiciary. Kung makikita nyo, pinakamataas dyan is the Supreme Court headed by the Chief Justice. And then, sa pinaka-immediate na baba niya, we have the Court of Appeals, yung korte na kung saan dito umaapila yung mga tao kapag hindi sila satisfied sa decision ng Regional Trial Court. Then we have the Sandigan Bayan, mamaya di-discuss natin yan, and we have also the Court of Tax Appellate. Ito naman ay Court of Tax Appeal. Yung Court of Appeal ay para doon sa mga regular cases. Ang Court of Tax Appeal, as you can see, tax for taxes. And then, sumunod dyan ay yung Regional Trial Court. Okay, and the rest, no, makikita nyo kanina, pinakita ko na. Now, composition of Supreme Court, tingnan muna natin kung ano yung bumubuo sa Supreme Court. We have, the Supreme Court is composed of one Chief Justice. Okay, so isang Chief Justice, yung pinakamataas or pinaka-head ng Supreme Court. So, siya, at merong 14 Associate Justices. Sino ang responsible sa pagtatalaga ng Chief Justice? Any guess? Okay, siya ang tumatalaga o nagtatalaga sa ating Chief Justice usually ay the President itself. Okay, the President. And then we have also the 14 Associate Justices. So bali 15 sila lahat, no? Now let's see the qualification. Ano ang qualification ng mga justices of the Supreme Court? Okay? Ano yung qualification ng mga ito? Yung one ng Chief Justice tsaka ng Associate Justices ng Supreme Court. Sa Justices of the Supreme Court, kasama niya Chief Justice, dapat, tandaan nyo, no? Natural born. So, lahat ng government branches, main government branches of the government, or main government branch, usually ang employees na nakatalaga ay must be natural born. Yung mga matataas na pwesto usually must be a natural born citizen, walang halo. Okay? So must be a natural born. Next, at least 40 years old. Okay? So kailangan abot ka muna ng 40 years old at natural born ka. And at the same time, no, dapat ay meron kang 15 years or more as a judge. So before you become a Supreme Court justice, it's either Associate Justice or Chief Justice, dapat nakapag-practice ka ng law for at least 15 years or more. Anong position mo? As a judge. So meaning, lahat ng mga naitatalaga na justice sa Supreme Court, lahat sila ay mayroong experience na 15 years or more sa lower court bilang hindi lang ordinaryong justice, no? Dapat isa siyang judge sa lower court or engaged in the practice of law in the Philippines. O hindi naman ay nakapag-practice siya o nagkaroon na siya ng experience na may practice ang kanyang pagiging lawyer sa Pilipinas. Okay, 15 years yun. Next, must be a person of proven competence, integrity, probity, and independence. Ibig sabihin, dapat ikaw ay competent. When we talk of competent, you are smart, excellent. Ibig sabihin ay talagang magaling ka. Integrity meaning walang bahid ang iyong record, walang corruption, walang kung anumang kaso na meron ka. And then probity, ito ay tumutukoy sa yung how do you decide. Okay? So, and independence in the sense na hindi ka pwedeng basta-basta ini-impluwensyahan ng kahit sino. Okay? Kasi meron kang sariling opinion, meron kang paninindigan, and malalim ang iyong kaalaman pagdating sa batas. That is what we call, those are the qualifications, Okay? So, qualifications still, no? Sa lower court naman tayo. So, tapos na tayo sa Supreme Court, no? Sa lower court, that includes yung regional court and the municipal trial court or city trial court, mga ganon. Lower court ang tawag doon. Sa lower court, dapat citizen of the Philippines. So, it doesn't matter whether you are a half-blood or pure blood, no? Filipino blood. Basta ikaw ay citizen ng Pilipinas. It's either natural born or naturalized. So, tandaan yung pagkakaiba, no? Natural born meaning you are fully-blooded Filipino. Full-blooded Filipino. Both parents. While naturalized, it could be a foreign blood, but you've been here in the Philippines and you apply for a naturalization. O, ibig sabihin, ikaw ay isang Pilipino na. Kahit ikaw ay Kano, pero nag-apply ka as Filipino, pwede naman yon as long as you pass the qualification. Then, member of the Philippine Bar. Ibig sabihin, dapat ikaw ay member ng Philippine Bar. Ang Philippine Bar meaning, sila yung mga komisyon na nakatalaga para sa uh, pagde-decide, or sila yung commission na nagbibigay ng exam, board exam, bar exam, no? So sila yung certify na ikaw ay talagang tunay na abogado through Philippine Bar. So member ka nun. So every lawyer, kapag sila ay nasa Pilipinas at pumasa bilang lawyer, they are considered as member of the Philippine Bar. Must be a person of proven competence. Again, same with the quality and the characteristics of the qualification of Supreme Justices, no? Dapat may competence ka, may integrity, probity, and independence. And then, the tenure. Tingnan natin kung gaano naman kahaba yung kanilang paglalagi sa isang kanilang pwesto, yung tenure of office, yung haba ng kanilang pamamalagi sa korte. Members of the SC and judges of the lower court shall enjoy their office during good behavior. Okay, so lahat ng mga justices, lahat ng mga judge, mga lawyers na ito, sila ay pwedeng manatili sa kanilang pwesto habang sila ay merong mabuting o magandang behavior. Okay? Meaning, medyo okay pa yung kanilang, they have sound mind, nakakapag-decide sila ng ayos, matino pa sila, yun ang ibig sabihin nun, no? So, kahit tumanda na sila, basta kaya pa nila, they still can enjoy. Hindi sila basta-basta matatanggal. Unless, kung sila ay medyo hindi na maayos, makalimutin na sila, hindi na sila pwede sa korte. Medyo malabo na yung kanilang pag-iisip, ay hindi na pwede yon. Or, hindi rin siya pwede dahil hindi na kaya ng katawan, meron sakit, at hindi na siya pwedeng makapasok. Those are examples of disqualification. Members of the SC shall enjoy, ito naman, sa SC, so Supreme Court still enjoy the position until they are removed in the long and complicated process of impeachment. So, pwede lang silang matanggal kapag sila ay ma-impeach, katulad ng nangyari kay Sereno at saka yung kay Justice Corona, di ba? Pag sila ay na-impeach lang, pwede lang silang matanggal. But aside from that, wala na. And also, they can hold office until they reach 70 years old or become incapacitated. As I have mentioned before, no, hanggat kaya pa ng katawan, usually naman pag 70 na, magre-retire na yan dahil because of, syempre, old age. So, hindi ka na pwede. So, hanggang 70 years old or become incapacitated. Meaning, they are not capable of doing or carrying out their duties and responsibilities as a judge. So, ayun yun. Or until they are being dismissed. Okay? For a probable cause. So, katulad ng nagkaroon ng kaso, no? Medyo may nilabag, pwede siya ma-dismiss. Those are the tenure of office para bago sila matanggal. Okay, powers of the Supreme Court. Tingnan naman natin ano yung kapangyarihan ng Supreme Court. So, dito lang tayo, no, sa Supreme Court muna. Ano ang kapangyarihan niya? Number 1, they have the power for cases involving ambassadors and public ministers. So, sila yung nakatalaga sa mga kaso ng mga ambassadors natin and public ministers, mga ministro ng ating gobyerno. So, pagka may mga kaso mga ito, sila yung nagde-decide, ang ating Supreme Court. Second, by the way, these are the examples of the power na involved dito sa tinatawag na cases na ito, no? Meron tayong term na certiorari. This is one term, isang termino ito na tinatawag na power of the Supreme Court. Certiorari ang tawag diyan. Certiorari meaning individual action. Okay, a writ issued by Supreme Superior requiring a lower court or a board of officers to exercise judicial function to transmit records of the case of the higher tribunal for purposes of review. For example, nagkaroon ng kaso ang isang public minister or public ambassador. Okay, at nagkaroon ng decision, for example, no? Or may mga proceedings na nangyari at ang gagawin dyan ay ang gagawin ng korte through their power of certiorari, magre-request siya ng order, no? Sa ng isang superior or yung isang mataas na writ issued by a superior. Ito yung ini-issue ng member of the Supreme Court, ini-issue ito sa mga lower court. Okay? Sa regional court or trial court. Nagbibigay siya ng writ. Writ ito yung parang a form of legal document na nagre-require sa lower court na mag-submit sila ng sinasubmit records of the case. Okay? So, nire-require ang lower court na mag-submit sila ng record ng case tungkol dun sa tao para ma-review ng korte, ng Supreme Court. That's what we call certiorari. Okay? Requiring individual or requiring a lower court, for a case of an individual to be reviewed. So, nagre-require ang korte, ang Supreme Court, sa isang lower court. Inuutusan ng Supreme Court ang lower court na ibigay ang record tungkol sa kaso ng isang tao na ito para ma-review ang kanyang kaso. That is certiorari. Certiorari ang tawag do sa kaso na sa power na yan. Second, we have also the prohibition. Okay, prohibition from the word prohibit. Ito naman ay written order by which superior court commands a lower court or corporation, board, or a person to further to stop from further proceedings in actions or other matters. Ibig sabihin, itong prohibition, kaya tinawag siyang prohibition, to prohibit. For example, sa lower court, may dinidinig na kaso. Okay? So, halimbawa, nagkaroon ng tinatawag na TRO, 'di ba? Meron tayong tinatawag na TRO. Nag-request ang isang individual o grupo ng tao na dinidinig ang kanyang kaso. Halimbawa, kasalukuyang dinidinig ang kanyang kaso. Okay? At gusto niyang ipatigil muna yung kasong dinidinig tungkol sa kanya dahil hindi pa tapos ang investigation. For example, no, yun yung scenario. So, kukuha siya ngayon ng TRO sa korte. And that is now example of what we call prohibition. Maglalabas ngayon ng written order through, for example, written order na tinatawag na temporary restraining order ng korte. So, yung korte na ito ay magbibigay ng written order dun sa korte na yon kung saan sila dinidinig ang kaso para ihinto muna yung proceeding. That's what an example of prohibition. Ihinto yung proceeding muna. Siguro dahil hindi pa tapos ang final investigation of the case. So that is prohibition. Third na tayo, no? Third is mandamus. Okay, mandamus. These are terms, Latin terms tungkol dito sa power ng Supreme Court, no? In settling cases. An order issued by a high court commanding a lower court or corporation, board, or person to perform certain act which is its duty to do so. It orders a compliance or performance of an act. So, kung kanina prohibition, the opposite of prohibition is mandamus. Kung kanina ay patitigil, magbibigay naman ng korte ngayon na ituloy or meron siyang order na magpatuloy o gagawin yung ganitong gawain. Yun ang tinatawag nating mandamus. Okay? So, mandamus ang tawag doon. Halimbawa, pansamantalang tumigil dahil nag-issue nga ng TRO. Pero nung okay na, natapos na yung wala nang problema, siya na yung mag-order ulit ang Supreme Court ng issue na tinatawag na mandamus. Okay, mandamus ang tawag doon, yung kanyang kapangyarihan na magpatuloy yung lower court sa kanyang ginagawa para ma-carry out yung kanyang duty. Okay? So, hindi lang lower court, perhaps sa isang individual or sa isang kumpanya, Bawa, pina-close dati ang isang company dahil sa kaso, pero nung nag-decide na nakita yung kanyang na-review yung kaso at umokay na, so siya ngayon yung magbibigay ng order na okay, magbukas na kayo, kailangan nyo nang gawin to. That's an example of mandamus. Next, quo warranto. Okay, usually naririnig natin to sa mga kaso sa korte, especially sa mga judicial proceedings. Quo warranto is an action by the government to recover an office or franchise from an individual or corporation usurping and lawfully holding it. Okay, quo warranto meaning ito yung pagkumpiska ng pagbibigay ng order ng Supreme Court na kumpiskahin o bakantehin yung pwesto ng isang tao sa kanyang pwesto, for example as a public official, dahil napatunayan na illegal yung kanyang pagkakaroon ng pwesto. Okay, or na-disqualify siya sa kanyang pwesto, for example, at napatunayan na ang nanalo ay yung kalaban niya. So yun yung tinatawag na quo warranto petition. Magbibigay ng order ang Supreme Court na okay, for example, yung isang governor, umalis ka sa iyong pwesto dahil hindi ikaw ang tunay na nanalo, for example. So ang bibigay na yun, ang tawag dun sa kapangyarihan ng korte na yon, ng Supreme Court na ito, ay quo warranto. Okay? So quo warranto tawag dun, pagpapatalsik sa pwesto ng isang tao. Okay, dahil illegal, no? Next, pangalawang power ng Supreme Court is to review judgment of lower courts, cases involving constitutionality, legality of any tax, reclusion perpetua, and errors on question. So, ano ba ibig sabihin? Okay, wait lang at lobat na ako. So, it means na pangalawang power ng Supreme Court ay may isa silang kapangyarihan. Ito yung sinasabing adjudicational power of review. So, review judgment of lower court. So, lahat ng mga kaso na dinicide ng lower court, for example, regional court, municipal trial court, kapag nag-decide sila, meron na silang hatol sa isang tao, at kung ang isang tao na ito ay hindi satisfied at dahil sa tingin niya totoong wala naman siyang kasalanan, iakyat niya yan sa korte, Supreme Court. So kapag siya ay nakita yung kanyang pagkabinasa, yung kanyang, for example, appeal na, so ang gagawin ngayon ay papatawag ngayon or magkakaroon ngayon ng review ang ating Supreme Court. I-review yung kanyang kaso. Okay? So, magpibigay yan ng certiorari order, yung sabi ko kanina na ibigay sa kanila record, i-review nila. After i-review, for example, ang tungkol ito sa kaso tungkol sa constitutionality ng batas ay ng kanilang nagawa, kung ito ay criminal o tungkol ito sa tax o kung tungkol ito sa pagbibigay ng hatol ng isang tao na life sentence or reclusion perpetua na hindi naman pala pwedeng ihatol sa kanya, or mali yung kanyang paghatol ng lower court, pwede itong re-review ng Supreme Court. Now, whatever the decision of the Supreme Court, final na yon. Hindi na pwedeng mag-appeal pa ang isang individual o isang tao kasi final na. So, yun yung kapangyarihan ng Supreme Court, no? Review judgment of lower court. Next, assignment of judges to the lower court. So, ito yung isa sa kapangyarihan ng Supreme Court natin na mag-assign. Okay? Ang ating Supreme Court ay siya lamang ang may kapangyarihan na mag-assign ng mga judges sa iba't ibang korte ng lower court natin. Okay? Pwede siya magtalaga kung sinong gusto niyang judge sa isang lower court. O pwede rin siyang i-transfer sa ibang lower court. Only the Supreme Court can do that. Yan yung kapangyarihan niya, assigning. Next, pang-apat, order a change of venue for a trial. So, ang pang-apat na kapangyarihan ng Supreme Court is siya lamang ang pwedeng magsabi kung pwedeng idinggin ang kaso sa ibang lugar. Okay, sometimes nangyayari ito kapag ang kaso ay medyo delikado sa lugar na yon. Okay, halimbawa, didinggin ng kaso kung saan sa Mindanao, pero sa Mindanao pala ay ang kalaban ay medyo makapangyarihan at marami nang pinapatay, lalo na mga judge, hindi na nade-decide yung case niya kung siya ay guilty. So usually ang ginagawa ay the Supreme Court will order them na itutuloy yung kaso, didinggin ang kaso dito sa ibang lugar, for example sa Manila, para mas safe. That's the power of the Supreme Court. Change the order of venue, or order a change of venue, I mean. So babaguhin ang venue na kung saan didinggin ang kaso for the safety perhaps of both parties. Okay, last, I think this is the last one. Promulgate, hindi pa pala, no? Promulgate rule of court. Okay, promulgate rule of court. So meaning, ang tanging the Supreme Court lamang ang makapagpapahayag ng kung paano ang pagbibigay ng rule sa korte. Siya yung tanging maghahayag nun, yung the rule of court, yung kung paano mangingibabaw yung patakaran ng korte. Next, appoint officials of the judiciary, hire employees for a judicial system or judiciary branch. So, ang Supreme Court din ang nag-a-appoint sa lahat ng mga employee ng judicial branch of the government. Siya lang ang pwedeng mag-appoint sa mga official. Wala nang iba. Except yung Chief Justice, kasi ang Chief Justice ay in-appoint ng President. So, after that, lahat na ng mga officials ay in-appoint mismo ng Supreme Court. Now, let's have this Judicial and Bar Council. We usually see this, no? We usually hear this word JBC, okay, or Judicial and Bar Council. Ang JBC, sila yung inatasan na mag-nominate ng appointee sa judiciary. So, as I have mentioned, lahat ng officials ng judicial system natin ay ina-appoint mismo ng Supreme Court through the body. Itong body na ito ay tinatawag na Judicial and Bar Council, yung tinatawag na JBC. Sila yung appointing body ng mga judicial system or yung ating Supreme Court para kung sino yung gustong ilagay na employee ng bawat bawat judicial court, okay, ng ating bansa. So sino-sino yung mga JBC? JBC are composed of the following. We have one member is the Chief Justice, kasama ang Chief Justice sa JBC. Then, Secretary of Justice or DOJ Justice. Yung Secretary ng DOJ. And then, isang representative ng Congress. Okay, isa sa representative ng Congress. At kasama din ang representative ng Integrated Bar of the Philippines. Ang Integrated Bar of the Philippines ay komisyon na nakatalaga para sa pagre-regulate ng mga lawyer, kung sino yung mga totoong mga lawyer, o sila ay mga halimbawa pag nagte-test sila yung involved, no, yung IBP, Integrated Bar of the Philippines, pag nagpapa-bar exam. So isang representative doon. And then isang professor of law, isang representative na isang professor of law. So, all of these are the composition of JBC. Lahat sila ay pipili ng kung sino yung gusto nilang italaga. Sila yung magkikilatis. Okay? Bago maging appointee. And then, isa din na private sector representative. Okay. Sa process, tingnan natin kung paano sila mag-decide ang court, no? Ang Korte Suprema. Paano magde-decide ang court tungkol sa mga kaso? This is the process. Kapag nag-decide, once there is a decision is reached, o kapag nagkaroon na ng decision ang SC Justice, ang Supreme Court, an SC Justice or Supreme Court Justice is assigned to write an opinion. Usually, nangyayari ito when, for example, merong kaso na kailangan bigyan ng interpretation ng Supreme Court na minsan hindi nabibigyan ng hindi nalilitis or hindi ito naayos, for example, sa legislative body or sa legislative branch of the government. Usually, pinapasa ito sa Supreme Court for its legality dahil sila lamang ang pwedeng mag-decide, no? So, usually ang ginagawa ng Supreme Court ay pagbobotohan yung after reviewing the case, pagbobotohan nila kung tama yung decision or hindi. Okay, kung legal ba yung decision or hindi. Now, everyone is participating in the decision, in the approval of that decision. So, pag halimbawa, marami ang nag-decide, konti ang nag, uh, nag, nag-oppose, for example, even if they oppose or if they agree, for example, every one of them, yung 14 justices, kasama ang Supreme Justice, Supreme Court Justice, yung Chief Justice, yung bali 15 sila, magde-decide. So, every one of them, whether they agree or not, they should give their opinion. They write an opinion. Yun yung tinatawag nilang opinion, dissenting opinion. Bakit sila nag-agree dun sa decision? Okay? The opinion is certified by the Chief Justice and served on the parties concerned. So usually, kapag napagdesisyonan na yung kaso, si-certify ngayon ng Chief Justice na bawat isa sa kanila, bawat justice na bumoto ay magbibigay ng kanyang opinion, whether it is yes or no, bibigay nila ang kanilang opinion. Ang tawag doon ay dissenting opinion. So, isi-certify ng Chief Justice at ibibigay ngayon ito doon sa concerned party kung sino yung didesisyonan ng korte. Okay? So, yun. Every one of them are given the right, every justice, ay meron silang opinion doon. Bakit sila nag-agree at bakit sila hindi nag-disagree? Their opinion is always based on the interpretation of the law. So, ang tawag doon ay dissension and abstention must be explained. For halimbawa, bakit ka nag-agree? Dissension ang tawag doon. Or bakit ka nag-disagree? Dissension yon. Dissenting opinion ang tawag doon. Abstention naman ay kapag ikaw ay hindi bumoto, nag-abstain. Okay? Halimbawa, bakit ayaw mong bumoto? So, bakit hindi ka nakipag-participate doon at ayaw mong mag-agree or disagree? So, ilalagay mo din as judge, as member of the Supreme Court Justice, ilalagay mo din yung opinion mo, bakit hindi ka nag-participate. Okay. The view must be explained facts of law. So, dapat lahat ng kanilang mga opinion or view ay ina-explain nila base sa katotohanan ng batas or facts of law. Nakabatay dapat sa batas. So, ayun yun, Why do Supreme Court Justice write dissenting opinions? Bakit kailangan nilang magsulat ng dissenting opinion? First of all, sabi, judges want to make sure that the reason why they disagreed with the majority opinion of a court case is recorded. Further, publishing a dissenting opinion can help make the writer of the majority opinion clarify their opinion. So, yun yung dahilan. Para maging masigurado na makita kung bakit sila nag-disagree, At dun sa majority opinion ng bawat isa. At maipublish din ito nang sa gayon magkaroon din ng kaliwanagan yung mga tao o mga kasama niya na bumoto nag-agree. Okay, para kahit papano, although wala nang bearing yun, there's no bearing on the decision made, wala na yung bearing. Siguro magiging basehan na lang yan sa susunod kapag mayroong same case at pwede nang magbago yung pananaw ng ng bawat individual or bawat justice. Second, bakit kailangan magbigay ng dissenting opinion ang justice? A justice might write a dissenting opinion in order to affect further judgments in cases about situation similar to the case in question. So, para mas magiging magkaroon ng mas lalong clarification at magkaka-epekto ito sa future na same case na. Okay? Third, bakit kailangan nila magbigay ng kanilang dissenting opinion? A justice might write a dissenting opinion in the hope that through words, they can get Congress to push forward legislation to correct what they see as issues with the way the law is written. Sa ganon, magiging magiging basehan ng ating mga congressmen in the legislative body at senators para ito ay magiging basehan nila para i-correct yung kung paano ang tamang pagsulat nila ng batas sa susunod. So, magiging basehan nila yon yung mga opinion. And then, that's all, no? Yung tatlong reason. Now, let's move to the Court of Appeals. So, isa na, no? Yung Supreme Court. Then, we move going back, no? Going down, no? Yung sa Supreme Court. After ng Supreme Court, we have the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals is the second highest tribunal or tribunal in the country. Sila yung pinakamataas na tribunal in the country, which was established on February 1, 1936 through Commonwealth. Okay, so siya ang pinakamataas. Ano naman ang kanyang tungkulin ng Court of Appeals? The jurisdiction of Court of Appeals. Ano yung kanyang sakop? Now, original jurisdiction to issue writs of mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, habeas corpus, and quo warranto, and auxiliary writs or processes whether or not in aid of its appellate jurisdiction. So, lahat ng ang kanyang jurisdiction ay yung meron kasi silang original jurisdiction na mag-issue nung tinatawag na writs, nung tinatawag na mandamus, prohibition, certiorari. Sila yung merong karapatan yan. At saka mga auxiliary writs pala. Second, meron din silang original jurisdiction over action annulment of judges of regional courts. So halimbawa, after nag-decide ang regional court, ang isang tao ay pwedeng mag-apila sa korte sa pamamagitan ng Court of Appeals. Usually sa Court of Appeals sila mag-a-appeal. And then sa Court of Appeal, doon nila ibibigay or doon na sila mag-order ng what we call yung iba't ibang mga nasabi natin kanina na certiorari, mandamus, no? And other powers as long as it's under their jurisdiction. And then they have also the exclusive appellate jurisdiction over all final judgment, resolutions, orders, or awards of regional trial courts, quasi-judicial agencies, instrumentalities, boards, or commission. So sila yung may karapatan din sa lahat ng judgment ng mga judgment or resolution or order na or mga award na ibinigay ng regional trial court maging sa quasi-judicial agencies. Okay, powers. Tingnan natin yung power ng Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals shall also have the power to try cases and conduct hearings, receive evidence, and perform acts necessary to resolve factual issues raised in cases falling within its original appellate jurisdiction. So, pwede siyang, isa sa power ng Court of Appeal ay pwede din siyang magdinig o duminig ng kaso, no, na nanggagaling sa trial court. Kapag mayroong umapila sa kanya dun sa regional trial court, pwedeng umapila ang mga tao at dun na rin nila didinggin as long as it's under their jurisdiction. Pangalawang power nila, they can grant and conduct new proceedings. Okay, conduct new proceedings. Yan. Kasama din yun, no? Pwede ulit silang mag-conduct ng proceeding. Okay, after the next one, after the Court of Appeals, we have the Regional Trial Courts. So, pababa na tayo. Ano naman ang regional trial courts? Okay, usually makitatagpuan ito sa iba't ibang region ng 13 regions of the Philippines, consisting of 1 to 12 and the NCR. There are many regional trial courts in each region as the law mandates. So, bawat region usually dalawa o isa o tatlo ang mga korte diyan. Trial court diyan, regional trial court. Powers and function of regional trial courts. Sa section 19, meron tayong tinatawag na jurisdiction in civil cases. Meron silang jurisdiction sa pagdinig ng kaso pagdating sa civil cases. Regional trial courts shall exercise exclusive original jurisdiction. Lahat ng mga civil actions in which the subject of the litigation is incapable of pecuniary estimate. So, lahat ng civil cases ay sila din ang dumidinig. Pangalawa, civil actions is involved title to possession of. So, ito may tungkol sa pagdinig ng kaso sa property tax or properties or possessions o interests. Okay, maging sa lands or buildings originally over which conferred upon metropolitan na ibinigay sa kanila, for example, or inakyat sa kanila ng MTC or Metropolitan Trial Court or Municipal Trial Court. Or usually, pag halimbawa hindi na-decide sa municipal trial court, inaakyat na nila yan sa regional trial court. And regional trial court will now proceed the hearing. Okay, next, in all actions in admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. So, pagdating naman ito sa action tungkol sa admiralty or yung tinatawag na sa pangingisda or maritime jurisdiction or may mga claim na hanggang na nag-exit ng 20,000. Usually, kapag ka nag-claim ka, especially more than 20,000, ang dumidinig niya dyan ay regional trial court. Halimbawa, matters of probate, both testate and interstate, where the gross value of the estate exceeds 20,000 pesos. So, usually, halimbawa, kaso ng tungkol sa pag-aari ng lupa, bahay, na naglagpas ng 20,000, usually, ang dumidinig dyan ay regional trial court. In all actions involving contract of marriage, marital relations, and RTC din yan kapag ang problema ay tungkol sa marriage. Next, in cases within the exclusive jurisdiction of any court, tribunal, person, or body exercising judicial or quasi-judicial function, kasama din yan. In all civil actions and special proceedings falling within the exclusive original jurisdiction of juvenile and domestic relations. So, pagdating sa juvenile cases, yung mga kaso ng mga teenager, domestic relations, yung pang-aba-abuso, no? Agrarian relations, usually ang trial court na ang mag-aano yan. At iba pang mga kaso, lalong-lalo na sa mga nanghingi ng interest or cost ng value of property or controversy na gustong magpabayad ng isang magpabayad ng isang biktima ng more than 20,000. Okay, pag more than 20,000 na, usually regional trial court na ang mag-handle ng kaso. Okay, ganun din sa criminal cases, no? Basta it's under its original jurisdiction. Okay, next, original jurisdiction in other cases, iba pang kaso katulad ng certiorari, prohibition, meron din silang ganong power, no? Actions affecting ambassadors and public ministers and consuls. Again, as long as it's under their jurisdiction in the region. Yan. Saan yan? Yan yung isa sa power. And then, they have their appellate jurisdiction. Appellate jurisdiction meaning they can be used as an appeal court. Regional trial court shall exercise appellate jurisdiction over all cases decided by MTC or Metropolitan Trial Court. Pwedeng mag-apila, for example, no, yung nasa trial court, yung local, no, yung municipal trial court or city trial court, city circuit trial court. Pag halimbawa nag-apila yung akusado, iakyat niya sa regional. So, usually, didinggin din ng regional trial court yan. Okay, powers and functions. Cases shall be decided on the basis of the entire record of the proceedings held in the court of origin and such memoranda and or briefs as may be submitted by the parties or required by the RTC. The decision of the RTC in such cases shall be appealable by petition for review to the intermediate appellate court, which may give it due course only when the petition shows prima facie that the lower court has committed an error. So, pwede lang tayong umapila, for example, kung hindi tayo satisfied sa decision ng local or yung tinatawag na municipal court or city court. Halimbawa, medyo may mali in decision, pwede natin iakyat sa regional trial court. Okay? Pag nagkamali ulit, di ka satisfied sa trial court, aplika na sa Court of Appeals. Pag hindi pa rin, Supreme Court na. Special jurisdiction to try special cases. The Supreme Court may designate certain branches of the regional trial court to handle exclusive criminal case, juvenile, domestic. Okay. So, this time, dito sa RTC, usually, meron ding silang karapatan, meron din silang power ang RTC na magdinig ng kaso, halimbawa ng juvenile cases, criminal cases, as long as sila ay inatasan din ng Supreme Court. Okay, isa din yun, power nila. Okay, special rules of procedure, sa mga function nila. Whenever regional trial court takes cognizance of juvenile and domestic relation cases and or agrarian cases, the special rules of procedure applicable under present laws to such cases shall continue to be applied unless subsequently amended by law or by rules promulgated by the Supreme Court. So, meaning, yung regional trial court ay meron din silang power to conduct the hearing applying such procedure na under their jurisdiction, and at the same time yung present na applicable amended law na or rules na ginagamit ng Supreme Court. Okay, let's move to now the lower part, no? So after ng regional court, dito na tayo sa pinakamababang korte, which is the Metropolitan Trial Courts, Municipal Trial Court, Municipal Circuit Trial Court, and Municipal Trial Courts in cities. So usually magkakaparehas lang ito, but their term lang nila ay magkakaiba in the sense na yung kanilang characteristics. Okay. Metropolitan Trial Courts, usually matatagpuan ito sa big cities, for example sa NCR. Meron tayong tinatawag na Metropolitan Trial Court. A court that is within the metropolis. Okay? Or for example sa Metro Manila, Metropolitan Trial Court ang tawag doon. And then yung Metropolitan Circuit Trial Court, katulad sa Valenzuela, meron tayo nun. Yung Municipal Trial Court ay para lang doon sa munisipyo, for example, Abando. For example, meron silang, merong itatalagang isa, or merong korte na Municipal Trial Court din siya, pero pwedeng Obando and Tawiran ang pwedeng gagamit nun, or jurisdiction nun. Okay, ito yung procedure in the Municipal Trial Court. Meron tayong tinatawag na uniform procedure o pare-parehas ang kanilang procedure. The procedure to be observed in the Metropolitan Trial Courts, Municipal Trial Courts, and Municipal Circuit Trial Courts shall be the same as the Regional Trial Courts. So pare-parehas lang ang kanilang ginagawa, procedure. Kaya lang, lahat ng kaso nila ay hanggang 10,000 lang yung parang mga demanding penalties ng kaso. So, ito na yung ibig sabihin ng Municipal Trial Court, no? Ang Municipal Trial Courts ay lahat ng bawat municipality in the Philippines meron siyang sariling Municipal Trial Court. It is referred to as such if it covers only one municipality. Okay, so merong Municipal Trial Court, ito ay para lamang dun sa isang municipality. For example, ang isang Municipal Trial Court ay pwedeng nakatalaga lang dito sa Obando, at lahat ng mga jurisdiction niyan, lahat ng dinidig niyang kaso ay sa buong Obando lamang. Okay, yun yung example. Otherwise, it is also called Municipal Circuit Trial Court. Pag sinabi nating Municipal Circuit Trial Court, more than 2, okay, or more, 2 or more municipalities ang may jurisdiction na dumidinig ng kaso. Ibig sabihin, ang isang court na ito ay ay dinidinig niya ang kaso na nanggagaling sa 2 o 3 o 4 na mga korte. May 4 na municipality. Wait lang, at nalobat na naman ako. There you go. Okay. So, that is MTC, Municipal Circuit Trial Court. So, sana maintindihan nyo, no? Sa Municipal Circuit Trial Courts, hanggang 2 o 3 o mahigit pang municipality ang sakop niya. Pero kapag Municipal Trial Court, isang municipality lang ang kanyang sakop. Okay, Municipal Circuit Trial Courts are judicial courts of the Philippine system which covers 2 or more municipalities in the country. Every municipality in the Philippines has its own municipal trial court. Okay, naintindihan nyo na, no? Sabi ko na sa inyo kanina. Metropolitan Trial Court naman ay matatagpuan ito sa cities and Metropolitan Manila area. So, sa mga cities lang yan or metropolitan area, katulad sa Manila, as distinguished from the other political subdivision of the Philippines, referred to as Metropolitan Trial Courts. In cities outside Metropolitan Manila, the equivalent of that is Municipal Trial Court. For example, sa Valenzuela, meron tayong tinatawag na Municipal Trial Court. Okay, yung korte dyan sa malapit sa Bureau of Fire, yung likod lang niya. That's an example of Municipal Trial Court. Sa mga city lang yan makikita. Pag sa municipal, yung isa naman kanina is municipal trial court. Municipal trial courts in cities pala yung example kanina, no? Yung sa Valenzuela. Ang tawag doon ay municipal trial courts in cities. Pero kapag municipal trial court, yun ay para sa isang munisipyo lang, hindi siya city. Okay, powers and functions of Metropolitan Trial Courts, MTC, and Municipal Circuit Trial Court. Ganon din ang Municipal Trial Courts in cities. So, jurisdiction in criminal case, except, example, parehas lang din yan sa kanina, no, sa trial court. Exclusive jurisdiction over all violations of city or municipal ordinances. So, lahat ng mga violations pagdating sa municipal ordinances and orders, ang dumidinig niyan ay mga municipal trial court or municipal trial court in cities. Okay. Jurisdiction in civil cases, maging sa mga kasong civil din ay ang kanyang dinidinig na kaso. Okay. Civil cases. Okay, let's move to delegated jurisdiction in cadastral and land registration cases may be assigned by the Supreme Court to hear and determine cadastral and land registration. So hangga't ito naman ay power of the Supreme of the Regional Trial Court through the Supreme Court kapag inatasan sila. Summary procedures in special cases. So, pwede silang magkaroon ng tinatawag na summary of procedures sa special cases, ang MTC or Municipal or Metropolitan Trial Courts and Municipal Trial Courts with at least 2 branches. Okay. Preliminary investigation din ang kanilang isa sa function. Judges of Metropolitan Courts except those in the National Capital Region of Municipal Trial Courts and Municipal Circuit Trial Court shall have authority to conduct preliminary investigation of crimes. So, halimbawa, investigahan pa lang yung kaso ng isang krimen, pwedeng ang MTC or Municipal Circuit Trial Court na ang didinig ng kaso bago nila iakyat sa Regional Trial Court. Okay, next. Ito naman tayo sa mga other type of courts, no, yung Sharia District Court and Sharia Circuit Courts. Ang Sharia District Courts matatagpuan lang ito sa ating mga Muslim areas, no, sa Mindanao. Ang Sharia District Courts ay para doon sa isang municipality sa Mindanao at ang Sharia Circuit Courts naman ay para doon sa 2 o 3. Okay. So, ito ang Sharia ay equivalent din ng Regional Trial Court. Kaya lang, ang dinidinig na kaso dito ay kaso tungkol sa kaso ng mga Muslim lang. Kasi may mga batas ang Muslim na hindi applicable sa atin. Okay? Sila yung Sharia. Ang Circuit Courts ay katumbas naman ng Municipal Trial Court sa atin. So, kung ano yung dinidinig ng kaso katulad din sa atin, yun nga lang, may exemption because of their Muslim law. Okay, so these are the appointments to the judiciary process, no? Kung ano yung process niya. Makikita nyo kung paano yung process. Through JBC, then application and recommendation, and then magkakaroon ng public interview, then applicants is screened by the JBC, and then list of candidates published, then magbabotohan ito ng JBC, and then magkikreate ulit sila ng list. Then isasubmit sa president and then the new chief justice appointed. So ganyan na na-appoint ang chief justice. Appointments to the judiciary. Under the present constitution, appointments to the judiciary are made by the President of the Philippines on the basis of a list submitted by the judicial. Naipakita ko na kanina sa inyo, no? Although ang nag-a-appoint ay mga JBC, ang nag-a-approve pa rin ay ang president once na screen na ng JBC. Guidelines and qualifications of appointment in judiciary. Members of the Supreme Court, appeals, tax and tax appeals. nasabi na natin kanina, ito yung mga kanilang qualification I have mentioned before. Members naman ng Sandigan Bayan. Ano naman ang Sandigan Bayan? Sandigan Bayan is a court for the public employees na nagkaroon ng kasong graft and corruption. Doon lang didinggin. Lahat ng mga kaso ay para lang sa mga public officials na may graft and corruption sa Sandigan Bayan. So, ano yung mga qualifications sa member? I think it's same as 40 years old, at least 10 years ng practice. So, medyo mababa ito. Judges naman sa Regional Trial Court, national born, 35 years old, at least 10 years. So, mostly 10 years. Sa first level courts naman, I think ito yung sa Municipal Trial Court. At least, yung judge dito ay 30 years old, at least 5 years of law practice in the Philippines. 5 years holding in an office requiring admission to the court prerequisite. Guidelines in the qualification of appointment in judiciary. Sa judiciary naman, no, ng appointment ng judiciary pagdating dito sa Sharia District Courts, natural born din, 35, same as the other one. And then the judges naman for Sharia Circuit Courts, ito yung municipal, same as din sa municipal, kaya lang 25 years old at least, no, and pass the exam of Sharia Islamic jurisprudence. So again, dapat marunong sila sa Islamic law and jurisprudence ang mga ito sa nasa Sharia. Special court. Ang special courts are our court of tax appeal. Exclusive jurisdiction over tax appeal by private citizen. At lahat naman ng ito ay kaso tungkol sa apila, tungkol sa court sa tax cases. Yan ang Court of Tax of Appeals. And then ito naman ang Sandigan Bayan, ano, na nagde-decide ng graft and corruption sa bawat government employees. At Sandigan Bayan or the People's Advocate is a special court which was established under PD 1606. Okay, equivalent niya ay Court of Appeals. The SB tries and decide criminal and civil cases against government. So tandaan niyo, no, all of these cases ay sa government nominees lang. Employees. Okay, so the Sandigan Bayan shall sit in 5 divisions of 3 justices each. The 5 may sit at the same time. The first 3 divisions shall be stationed in the Metro Manila area. The 4th division shall be in Cebu and for cases coming from Visayas region. And the 5th division shall be in Cagayan de Oro for cases coming from Mindanao. So, isa sa Mindanao, isa sa Cagayan de Oro as part, isa sa Cebu in Visayas, and then isa sa Cagayan de Oro na judge. Okay? Then, tatlo sa ating Metro Manila. Tatlong division. Tax of appeal, again, sabi ko na kanina, it's all about the tax on tax cases. Ito ay pag-aapila tungkol sa mga kaso kapag hindi ka satisfied in case of decisions in your tax evasions or others. Basta about tax. Okay. Special court still, yung ombudsman. Ang ombudsman naman, ang tungkulin ng ombudsman is to investigate cases of graft and corruption. So, kanina, ito yung magde-decide. Ito naman, sila naman ang investigating body ng ating gobyerno para sa mga taong gobyerno. Okay, otherwise known as Tanod Bayan. They are the investigative body or investigating body. And once na napatunayan, bibigyan sila yung magre-recommend sa korte para makasuhan sa Sandigan Bayan para makasuhan ang isang public official kung meron siyang kaso ng graft and corruption. Okay, so that ends our topic for the whole judicial branch. Okay, any question? Alright, if there are no more questions, I'll be giving you a performance test after this and a quiz. I see you in the next video, and goodbye class, and God bless.